Is this what they see? Like the zoomed out?
They're seeing this split screen right here. That's what all of our people are seeing.
Hi.
Hi, people. Hi, people.
What up, people?
Here we are on the Thursday Live. Dan and Damon, and we got another D thrown into the triples.
There it is.
Triple D. Oh, yeah.
Triple Ds.
We're on that
I know.
camera.
Triple D.
This is how we look and see ourselves. That's how we look and see where we are selfing from. All right. Welcome to Thursday Live. And like I said, we're bringing in a little bit more for everyone today. And how's everybody doing? We're all surviving.
We are surviving.
Yeah. I think we're all still election hungover. I am glad to be able to drive and not see another election sign. So that is good.
Man.
So we're healing. We're all healing.
Yep. It's good.
We just had this. I got to pull it up on the camera. We had this guy who came in yesterday, and like, he was in his Trump jumpsuit, enough that my guys were like, snuck up on me and like took me off. It was like some white kind of windbreaker pants and a 2020 Trump. And I was like, man, that guy was on cloud 9 yesterday.
Well, as long as he's a paying customer.
It must have been because of that, because he's like, man, Corvette's coming, ready for that tint and coating. And I said, hell yeah, brother.
Let's get,
It wasn't the most
as long as the
important-
money's green. I don't care if it's red or I don't care if you're red or blue. As long as the money's green.
and bringing that Corvette in too, man, he was ready to go.
Absolutely. And that, that's a big thing. Our ceramic coating protects all colors of cars. All colors of cars. By golly. You got a car, you make it last longer. Owner's Proud Ceramic Coating.
I actually have a good one, not to get too off tangent, but I have a buddy. We went to that wedding last weekend. Do you remember when we went up to Orange County to do all the coatings?
Yes.
Like 3-4 years ago. So I have a buddy, I think they're the same years, Gray Tacoma. One buddy got the coating, one buddy did not. And the buddy that got the coating, he lives like from here to my truck to the ocean. And it was like not the peeling paint Tacoma that the other one is.
Really?
So his wedding's next month. I will be doing some more footage, but it was very good to see. That was like our older things too, like not of our new stronger ones. So like it was like that was the testament. And I got away from the wedding. I was like, God damn it! Like I said this out loud, but I didn't pull my phone out. So, anyway, it was cool to see this because Toyota paint usually peels off real quick.
Yeah, that's what a great.
Yeah, that's what I said. And my wife's like, wedding, not coatings.
Well, I mean, first of all, Dan, why don't you just tell everybody where you're at and what's going on and who Dustin is?
Yeah.
All right, so here we are. Today we're coming to you live for our Thursday Live from Official California Detailing here in San Diego, California. And this is Dustin Morton, the owner of said business and one of the ambassadors for Owner's Pride. And for me, the coolest part of it all is he is who bought my business 8 years ago and just hit the multiplier button and grew the heck out of it. Now he has this big, beautiful shop and just doing great business. And it kind of makes it fun that he lives here in the same town as I do, so I get to kind of come in here and feel a little bit of the success with him.
Yeah, and you actually show up to the shop more than like you always joked about. Like I'm going to pull up to your details one day when we're mobile or something, and a little bit easier to get you to the shop. So, but it's been full circle is great. I mean, I was even telling Damon the other day that I think it was this time like 5 years ago that we were like, hey, we need to start trying some new products, and he sent us all of what we had at the time, and then it's the rest is history. A quick 5 years later, being reps for the company and trying all the products out. And so we may not be on the phones as much anymore for OP, but we are still breathing and eating coatings and eco wash, not figuratively, not actually.
And being in that ambassador role, you still are a pretty good voice for us. A lot of the guys that are out there in the detail sphere of the social media see a lot of your posts and kind of lean on a lot of the knowledge because you guys are so busy and doing such a good business.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And I mean, when we jumped into our other place or when we bought your business, I remember being like, how am I supposed to meet this minimum? And we were kind of one of the smaller, fish on the scale of it. And we've been pushing hard for the last 8 years to kind of be at the higher end of things. And it's cool to be looked at and to look back where we've come. But both of you have helped us get to that point of being this business with our last 5 years of, I don't even know how many conversations and minutes spent on the phone. But yeah, I mean, but that's the epitome of owner's pride is that we're here to help people out, and that we didn't all start off, at the best note. And so it's nice to be able to rely on people, vent with people, and actually problem solve to become a better business, not just the conversation of buying more product.
No.
Exactly. And it's building those relationships and growing the business. And again, like what we always say too, if you don't succeed, we don't succeed. And I just think it's awesome that Dustin has been with us since the very beginning, um, since that initial fly out, and getting you out the products. And I actually thank you because you helped us go ahead and set the ratios also for EcoWash. We had to have everything sent out to San Diego and tested too out there. So, I appreciate that also. It's a give and take. It's been a phenomenal relationship over the last 5 years. And to watch your business grow into what it has is very awesome. And I think it's also very inspirational to a lot of detailers because, we've seen you go from being solely mobile to having an employee to having multiple employees to having your own shop. And to me, what's really awesome is the fact that here you just had a baby boy and now you get a chance to spend more time with your family because you focused a lot of your time and energy not just on you know doing the services but also on the business itself and growing it to where it doesn't solely depend on you being there.
Yep.
And we're teed up to talk about they ask you answer, but from something that you just said, I want to try to make a point. A lot of the guys that we talk to, they need to make that next move to get to step away to put the polisher down and start to run their business. I have this conversation so often. Usually it takes some big act or something to happen to force the detailer's hand or foot in your case,
Yeah.
to make that happen. So like, a little context. Dustin was out water skiing with his family, and his leg got wrapped up in a tow line, and the boat took off, and it messed his leg up, so he couldn't detail anymore. And we had been talking about for a good 2 years about trying to make that move. He was forced into doing it. Colby in over in Pennsylvania, very similar situation. He rides bikes, like mountain bikes, and he went out and got into a wreck, and it forced him to do it. He literally sent me a message today, for when he meets up with you and I, Dave, in Mobile Tech Expo, about how he literally knows every dollar where it went into his business, and he's just so excited about moving to that other side. Okay, there's the context for what I'm about to say. You did not go through, or maybe you did with your neck thing, but it doesn't seem like as you built up businesses that you had to have that happen to push you out. How did you overcome that mental hurdle that everybody has to start separating yourself from the polisher?
I
Whew.
think the biggest thing is that what is the biggest obstacle for any entrepreneur is themselves. So as a business owner, your biggest obstacle is typically yourself. And the other thing is the business itself wasn't built around me. I built it. Of course, it started with me, the services and everything else, but the idea is what was the end game? The end game was the fact that I knew physically I wouldn't be able to hold a polisher and do all these things, into my late 50s and 60s. There's just no way I'm built for it. It ain't gonna happen. So you have to go ahead and build a team around you. And fortunately enough, I found the right people and helped build that team. And by building that team, when I went in for my neck surgery and they fused everything, um, they were all in place so that when I did come out of the surgery, and I had to wear that neck brace for 12 to 14 weeks. That because there wasn't anything I was going to be able to do. It just wasn't. They had to be able to do it. And it really did force my hand a bit to go ahead and move forward because I really didn't plan on that happening until honestly 2025.
Okay. So for both of you guys, like what
Yeah.
knowing that you ran into that, what would be your best advice for somebody who we know that they're at that level where they're pushing up against the wall and they need to make the change,
Mhm.
but they're afraid to make the change?
Yeah.
You
Uh,
have to do it. You
yeah.
just do it.
I mean, it's relentless hours, and knowing what to be working on. I got to work on the business, but if you don't have some roadmap to a point, then you're just kind of shooting in the dark. With you guys helping mentor and talking about these things, that training, putting coatings in their hands, polishing in their hands, and me transitioning out of, even though we had injured my foot, but if we had not put in the background work and the training and the mentoring for the last few years, it would have crumbled and we could have been in a different position right now. We had our best month we've ever had in business, not starting 2 weeks after we injured my foot. And that's huge to say because we had no hiccups like quality control and all these things, that it was a lot of work that we put in. And sometimes as business owners, we feel like I can't get there. I can't get there. You and I had that conversation, and yes, a life-changing event happened, but we saw what work had been laid out and then what we needed to fine tune rather than trying to reinvent the wheel. And I'm barking orders at my guys because they're not cleaning wheels good enough or whatever it is. And I'm on my damn knee scooter. That it's not always more cars working till 3 a.m. That, it's got to be your systems. It's got to be your documentation and your training. You got to have some trust. Like, got to let your guys burn some paint once in a while. And it sucks, but a good employee, you can see their entire demeanor change rather than it doesn't matter. And those are the guys you need to keep reinvesting into. And how we learn. How do you learn to not keep pushing the envelope because you burned some paint one day or you backed your car into it? That we've had to eat some shit once in a while, but our guys are proving that. So to not get off tangent, that we put in a lot of work, not just on the cars, in off hours and sleepless nights of these systems to get to this point. Because you will never get there if you don't. Because you
can only do so much.
You can only do so much, and it's to kind of go on the other note of what you'd asked, like the ego of being the polisher all the time, the ego of I coated every single car that came out of my shop. It's not rocket science. Some of these coatings are not for the weak-hearted if you don't know what you're doing, but I don't coat cars anymore unless I said yes to too many and the guys are going to kill me. But we had to get over those speed bumps of, yes, cars can be coated the right way if it's not me, and it can be polished the right way if it's not me. Towards the end, when I was about to be, before my injury, we were at a point that we were actually messing with our guys more because I booked myself as if I was an employee in the shop. And then customers came and life came and this quote and that quote. And now 2 people are handling what 3 people should have been. And if I'm dialed in, I'm producing more than those 2 guys. Like, we were leaning too hard on. And so with this situation, actually made it better for everybody to have more team players rather than me and 2 guys and everything's on them. So we had to take a pay cut to be able to invest into more people. But that pay cut will come back.
And you had already started to do all of the systems that you were talking about, and you as well, Damon, which I guess makes it so much easier to swallow the pill. But how do you put your ego to the side? Because that's what we see over and over and over that is stopping the guys from making that move and then being able to expand their business. How did you put your ego? Damon, you can go on this one.
So I think in order to do that, you have to really look at yourself and say, what are you doing this for? Right? Am I doing this to create a job for myself, or am I doing this to create a business? And so if you are doing this to create a business for yourself, you have to work yourself out of a position so that somebody else can fill that position. And that's how you're able to make those steps to get up there, is working yourself out of a job and having somebody else backfill for you. The other thing that worked for me too is realizing everybody is different. Everybody has completely different DNA, right? So even though I do things a certain way, I have a standard for what I want done, how I want it done. But are they going to do it exactly like me? No, they're not going to do it exactly like me. If the end result is what I'm looking for and the production time is the same, why should I bitch and complain about it? Right? Because honestly, you can learn some things by seeing somebody else do something different. Like, I'm definitely going to learn from Dustin, from the way he's been able to go ahead and have his employees begin to do those work or do his job when he's not there. I'm going to look at him and talk to him about it and say, hey, how did that work for you? What did you do different? What did you see that worked? Right? Because I didn't have anybody when I did it. That's the one thing that really stinks about this industry. There's not too many people who have gone from a back of the shop working and polishing to the front of the shop dealing with customers to leaving the shop and not looking back and then actually getting out of the state. and being halfway a country from that, or halfway across the country from that shop. There's never been a real manual in the industry for it. So, in order to help Dustin going through what I did, like I tell Dustin all the time, I have 3 decades in this industry. It doesn't mean I have 3 decades of answers. I have 3 decades of mistakes, and my wife will point out each and every one of them.
Dang, huh?
Glad, yeah. But at least if I can help you not make the same ones, so it's a smoother and quicker
Yeah.
transition for you, then great. Then let's talk about where you made mistakes and figure out how we make it even better. So when we talk to somebody else and we give them that advice and we're trying to help them grow their business, we're giving them something that is very up to date and it's something that's very tangent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the smoke and mirrors of like late night TV that's like transform everything. Like we're in the trenches and we've been through it, and the people to surround yourselves with and ask questions for, not afraid to say like, yeah, I'm wrong. Like, and I'm willing to learn. And that's why it's been a good relationship between the three of us over the last 8 years, the last 5 years, because it's just cohesive. It's learning. It's trying to get better rather than just being on a soapbox all the time. And like I was even on a call, I was telling Dan earlier, like I was on a call with Colin Richard today. Like I'm not technically on payroll, but we had probably a cumulative of an hour conversation about chemicals and coatings and this, that, and the other. I mean, all of it. And I enjoy doing that part of it. So it's not foreign to help others that are willing to actually listen and do that, and not just be like the asshole that goes online to ask the same question after you gave him the most truth ever.
I hate those. So here's another thing that I observe, and this is where I'm jealous of you guys.
Oh.
And we wait for it. The work-life balance. I see you guys both seeming to do a much better job at making that separation and taking that time for yourself. And I know that like one of the things where we were just talking about the guys especially who are having trouble taking that next step and stepping away from the polisher, they will, like you said, work until 3 o'clock in the morning and they're posting pictures and stuff. So I mean, maybe this kind of falls in line with some of that. You have to trust and have the systems in place. But how do you let yourself enjoy that time off? I feel and this is honest coming from me, if I am not doing something to work related, like even on my off time, I'm constantly checking stuff. And I feel like if I don't do that, then I'm going to fall behind and fall behind.
I mean, I get it, and I see it sometimes. Like if I go work on the house stuff because it's a disaster, because the position we're in right now, then some of the sales slack and this and that. So like even though we've gotten to that point that like our guys are doing things, like we're still in the shit and still trying to figure out the systems for us to be here less. But it's just it's that point that I'm going camping this weekend. I have Starlink.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I'll be blocking down jobs as I'm camping. I just went to the desert to work on my phone
and creepily watching me in here doing a class in your shop.
Yeah, I did do that too. But those are some of the checks and balances of like systems and checks and things that have us not here once in a while. And yeah, we have to pay quite a bit for our employees. Like this time last year, we were here all the time and trickling out of working. And now like the last 3 days to set up, like we really haven't been here. But the guys are doing top tier coatings. We're not getting quality control issues and all these things, but like we take care of them. Like all of my guys drive new cars and they just literally left the shop to go to SEMA. I'm not going to SEMA, but we're taking care of our guys. We're paying quite a bit. And like, yeah, it stings a little bit to have that payroll go through, but these are the guys of why I can go work on it. And we've had that conversation. If I can go work on the rest of the things, you guys get to stay here more hours, more coatings. And it's not like you get to, but it's a common understanding that I'm not just rolling in the dough because we're cranking out coatings. Like it costs to do what we do, and stop wasting clay bars so I can give you a raise. Like we have those conversations.
Well, and like so, you'll call me sometimes on your way home, and you're driving home from work, and then when you get home, you're like, "All right, well, I'm home now, so I'm done. Click, this call's over." And and Damon, you're really good at that as well.
It's because the glares from the wife as I'm walking around on the phone, and she's trying to hand me the baby. It's easier to say I got to get off the phone.
Baby is always a good excuse. Yeah. No, for myself. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry,
I
Dustin.
was
Go
just
ahead.
saying we're always work. I mean, and I end that conversation, go clock out for an hour and like chase some leads. Like it's the ebbs and the flows, but I'm the same way as you, and I think that's why we've grown in the last 8 years. That I just workaholic. It's terrible from the guy that used to sleep in till noon. Completely different people, but I can't stop now.
Damon.
For myself, what it came down to is, we always, the three of us truly believe very heavily in customer service, right? I mean, that honestly, I think that's why there's a success right there. If there's that one common thread, it's definitely going to be not just Eco Wash, but customer service. And so when we're talking to a customer, they're the most important person to us at that moment, right? And we want them to feel important. My family deserves the same thing. And that was a really hard and bitter pill for me to swallow. And once in a while, I still cough it up,
Yeah.
but I do realize that they deserve my attention too, not just my customers. And I need to do that for them. And then I also know I need some time to myself too. I do. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. It just needs to be, give me an hour, maybe 2 hours out of the week or something like that. Just something quick to where I can just like go away, maybe watch a little TV, catch a beer or two, and see something, and just not even think about, not even take my phone in there. Don't even look at it, not to even think about work. And I try to do that, but I do realize that my wife, my kids, and my grandson deserve my time just as much as my customers. And I need to go ahead and be responsible and respectful of their time that they want to share with me.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I mean that's why we're working so hard and getting so many gray hairs with this kid around because I dropped my kid off from the hospital. Like we got released, we were at home. I dropped him off and I went to work, and it's been stressful. But we're trying to kind of buy back some time. And with my daughter being 5, like I can't buy back that time that I was working then. But we've worked hard to be around more often. Like I take my daughter to school every single day. I pick her up every single day, sports and all that stuff. And if we can match that, that's success in its own. Even if you're still stressing over a couple bills because you said no to this coding or that job. And then it's hard when you need to connect bills and pay people. And, now we have 4 people at the shop relying on us, 4 people, we have a lot on our platter, but we,
Mhm.
I look at my dad. He made it to every single sporting event in my entire life. I think maybe one. Out of town, practices, everything. And I want to replicate that. And so it's successful to have nice things and do things, but we're trying to buy back that time because our kids, they'll grow up, but we only have one time that they're kids.
Yeah.
And Dan, I know you don't have kids, but your time for yourself is just as important too. And also with Angel. And it's one of those things that just I look at it as an essential priority, is how I look at it. It's an essential priority because they're wanting to give me something in return. They're wanting to give me their time. So therefore I should be as respectful as they are, giving them my time too, and not necessarily constantly looking at my phone and seeing what's going on. Because honestly, once it hits about 5 o'clock, there isn't anything we can really do. I mean, we can help, but as far as if there's an order or anything else, it's not going to go out to the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that too. And like sometimes it's like I'll find myself like scrolling and it's like, what are you like looking for? Like clear the notifications if you need to be that. Like I hate notifications on my phone,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's trying to look at that. It's like, are you actually producing or are you just scrolling? And sometimes like laptop in bed and stuff. And I'll still bring it up to bed with me, but I rarely open it up anymore because it's like, are you even producing anything or just like zoned out with a computer in your lap? So we're trying to find
Yeah,
that balance and easier said than done. And
sure.
it's pushing the envelope now to buy back more. Yeah, it's a hard thing for sure, but we're trying to do that, and I think we are scratching that surface well compared to just blowing smoke about doing it. So
And that's just on
Hmm.
the daily stuff. Prioritizing vacations themselves, important too for that longer extended time off. I know over the summer I kind of finally just hit a wall, and I was like, I haven't taken really any time off for a year and a half or so, and I was becoming stressed out from it, and having those few days off to just
yeah,
be a tourist here in San Diego where I live, it definitely helped a lot.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
that's why that's why we're going camping this weekend rather than SEMA.
All right. All right. Well,
fair
awesome.
enough.
I that is good stuff. And for anybody out there who's listening, if you want to further talk about this part of it,
Call us.
call us. Resources right here available.
Yeah, true.
And I'll probably answer no matter what time you call until I
That's no
can
lie.
fix mine.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I actually
So-
get mad when you don't answer late at night from me. So
it's super, super rare, man. All right. So today we were going to talk a little bit about Marcus Sheridan. They ask you answer, which is, if I were to put it into a nutshell, it's taking the information and making your social media marketing and your marketing answer the questions that you know that your customers are already going to ask, and thereby you're kind of fast tracking them to be closer to being closed and saying yes to having their car detailed or ceramic coated, because you've preemptively answered all of these questions
Yeah.
that they have coming out. And okay, everything that we kind of do, or that I do in the philosophy of this, is you're trying to make yourself an authority. So you're showing a problem, a solution, and thereby an authority, and proactively answering those questions through email nurture campaigns, blog posts, text messages. So tell me how it kind of you're throwing some of this into your business, because I know that you are as well.
yeah, and I think that it's my inherent, and it's a pro and a con in my self being of being a tinkerer. So trying to fix things that aren't broken, but always trying to evolve to be better. It could be a good thing and a bad thing, but we have things in place, and it's kind of on the vague side of things. Like, hey, it's been 4 weeks, come in for a maintenance wash, and like, yeah, it works to a point. It puts you in front of them, but even my marketing company the other day was like, do a quick little video that's literally the dirty car and then the clean car, and like show them the shop, and like revisit that idea of that feeling more than a text that you ignore later. Just being like, it's like I just got one for watches on my phone. It's like 30% off. And it's like you just swipe it away later. And so we're trying to do that, of putting ourselves in the position of that. But I found sometimes it's still almost me, of here's the solutions to your problems. But and when I got called out on it from my marketing company, it's like, we are in slow season, so we should market better. And it's not thinking of that. It's like my slow season. So why are we slow? This year is the fall slow we always see and we always talk about. This year was the politics. So is it that they're too busy with things going on? So then our mobile unit is a better solution because they are too busy to think about anything else. So it's those kind of things, demineralizing when we get to our rain season, of those types of things. So we're trying to make more content to think outside the box, but then our funnels and those things not just being a basic text of giving a nugget of, do I let my car stay dirtier longer or do a quick eco wash and wipe down? That's better for a couple swirlies than the water spots or the contaminant. So little teeny tips and tricks that we enjoy, but trying to put ourselves in the shoes of the customer. What are they going to go do when they leave the shop? Where's their car going to be? And that's kind of what we're trying to educate a little bit more on. We're also trying to we're trying to take the things off my platter. What's repetitive day in and day out of the questions I'm answering? So that's our focus right now in my new job in the office.
And another thing is it builds trust. And I know, Damon, you got some input on that side.
Oh, absolutely. I think, when you have a physical connection with your customers, when you actually they can see who they're buying from and know who they're buying from, I really do think it makes a huge difference. There's a lot of places that people can go to buy car care chemicals, right? And they're just going there to get a product. It's different when they see you using the product or showing your shop and those kind of things. I really do think there's a personal connection that a lot of people are looking for, because once they have that personal connection, there's an expectation that you're going to treat them as the customer that you describe and what you're going to do. Um, so we do a lot of it. We try to get pictures of the guys working in the back. It's not always just me. Um, I do try to make videos and get myself out there and talk about, car care or OP and the shop, whatever I can do for the shop in Omaha and help them get sales in. Um, but it does take more than just emails and texts. People get that every day. But what they don't get is, hey, how you doing? No, let me help you with this. What are you looking for? It, it's it's not very often that you get really good customer service anymore. And I've always looked at customer service like it to me, it's the essential part of any experience. If I go to a restaurant and say the food is a 3, but the customer service was a 5, I'll go back. If I go somewhere in the restaurant and the food is say a 3 or say a 5, but the customer service was a 3 or 2, more than likely I'm not going to be back anytime soon.
Yep. And that's, yeah, experience. That's what we're trying to build here from the second that they click on your name, the information they're getting, to then you calling them, and it's all of it. And when you're doing something like this that's a luxury, and like even our details are pricey. And when it's a luxury that people look for that experience, like I went to go wash my truck in Arizona when we were out there when I messed up my ankle, and I literally did not go to anyone because I was like, I know I'm not going to be happy with it. And so but that's what we need to do for our customers more than just blowing smoke of like I'm the best polisher and I'm the best this, and like those are qualifications to do this job for you. But
Mhm.
customer experience and being human, joking around on the phone within the right customer, obviously, but humanizing things, even though you're still talking about a few $1,000s.
You know,
Yep.
uh, Transparency is really big in building that trust, also, which, Damon, you do a great job with your shop where all of the prices are right out there in front. And I believe yours are all on your website too, yeah?
Yeah, I don't have the same boards as you do. It's one in a million projects to get done. But yeah, we're not scared about our pricing. We're not scared about telling people like how it is. Like, yeah, I'm not going to get all the swirls out of your paint, but I'm not going to charge you double the price without you knowing and stuff. So transparency is huge.
Yeah, because you know what, they're going to find out how much it costs, and that's another thing where you're kind of getting them closer to saying yes and doing business with you. If they only have $200 and you're selling something that's $1,500, it doesn't matter if you wait all the way to the end and you waste everybody's time, theirs and yours. If they only have $200, they only have $200.
Yep, exactly.
Oh yeah. So that's a really just great point of keeping those prices. Some guys don't want to do that, and they want to kind of keep that all under their thing, like they're gonna be able to just throw it out and close the sale. And I just don't feel that's
The biggest thing, like how many restaurants do you actually go to if you don't see a price on that menu? Most of the time, unless you don't worry about money, you don't go. Biggest thing that hit for me of like why to put prices on there, and it's like, ooh, competitor copy and this, that, and the other. Like, who gives this? Like, no one cares. The biggest thing is how much time do you want to spend on the phone chasing and educating all the tire kickers? Because you don't have your prices on there, you're going to get a lot of those conversations. Some people like to have those conversations. You may have turned someone into it from $200 and they make the investment, but having your prices out there, like it takes a lot of work out.
sure does.
Mhm.
And being transparent in, like you were saying, what the products do and what they don't do.
Oh yeah.
Some of the guys really oversell stuff, and that just comes back to bite you in the long run, where you look like you're dishonest as a business person, and your product might not stand up to the meteorite strikes that you say it will.
Yeah. I've seen people sit like right where the camera's at right now, like sit in the chair right there, and the glaze look goes over their eyes. And sometimes I talk too much. It's like definitely do, but I would rather educate you to death and talk about all of the things that are overblown of what a coating can and can't do. That I'll tell you straight to your face, and I may have lost the job, but I'm not married to a client that we shouldn't have worked together and things like that. So it takes years of the not seeing the money to pay the bill, but transparency through and through. Like customers are happy with us, we're happy with our customers, and we're not backpedaling to make life hard.
And if you what are I tried to do this a couple times in our private group, and it's like a swing and a miss every time I try to do it. I don't know if I'm not wording it correct, but what are those main questions that you guys are hearing from your customers that would make sense? And I know that you just did a whole little campaign with this
Yeah.
of taking these questions. So what are some of the questions, and what ways did you send that out to preemptively educate the people?
The biggest, it's like, do I ever wash my car again Can I just hose it off? Can I go through the car wash? Those are like the biggest ones, you know. So we started providing like an eco wash bottle with people to touch up the bird poop stain rather than let it just drive into their coating. And then we had customers who are like, oh shit, look at this waterless wash. And then they go wipe their car down 20 times with this eco wash. And then they're like, ooh, my self healing coating got swirled. So now we made a video that says, hey, don't go wipe your car down 20 times. That's for spot stains. And so it's some of those types of things. But I think the biggest one is maintenance. How do you maintain the car? And I've seen some customers get scared. They're like, I have to hand wash every time. And it's like, that it would keep it more showroom, yes. But you washing your car how you are now and putting something stronger on there, it's not going to change anything, but your car's more protected. So I think gauging expectations that your car doesn't stay in showroom condition all the time, but is it what's taking the abuse, your paint or the coating type of thing. And so the amount of what they're capable of and maintenance, I think, is a big part of what we see now.
And one of the things that we're getting ready to implement here pretty soon at Owner's Pride is blog posts onto our website to help us come up in web searches to drive more traffic to us. You on your website have that, and your marketing company handles that for you. What approach are they taking for yours? And what do you see? And what do you see like analytically of it driving traffic to you?
I mean, and we do see the like our blogs in our stats and things that are up there. Like I think the biggest one that's been hitting lately has been like what happens after it rains with a ceramic coating. And it does talk about, and it's good because where they have the blogs, it's not like complete BS that they're like, what did you say in this blog? What they wrote for me, but one part talks about rain after and what to watch out for. And I've had a couple customers that they kind of get scared away from it, that they're like, rain's gonna ruin it the day it happens. But I think it talks about the pain points and the good points, and they're not blowing smoke and mirrors in my website, and I'm like surprised by it. But a lot of it is a lot of these common questions put in blog form. You know, what is PPF? What is coating? Do you have to wax it? And all these different things. But they start to answer. They ask you answer. They start to answer questions so that a customer can go down the rabbit hole, get a feel for you as a company and what you know before they ever even click. Give me some more information, and that's why so many hours of content and websites, and why a $10,000 website's a good investment, because it takes a lot of the questions and time off your platter when you can put you into context.
Top 3 questions that the customers are asking on your side, Damon?
You know, a lot of it does come down, especially this year, has always been price. And that's why I'm total agreement of just putting your prices out there. And great analogy. You don't go to too many restaurants, Dustin. You don't see a price along there. And typically, if I see a restaurant like that and I don't see prices along there, I'm sticking to the appetizers. That's all I'm doing. And I think that's also a mentality for most of these people who are coming in and looking for ceramic coatings and services. You know, when they don't see a price, it kind of scares them. And it also makes them wonder, well, what do I really want? You know, we do a really good job, and I say we, the team there at the shop, does a really good job of talking with the customer and relating to the customer and seeing what their needs are, right? How long are you going to keep the vehicle? You know, what is your price point? What are you looking for? What type of vehicle is this? How many miles are you going to put on? You know, by discussing that too, you get to know your customer better. And by knowing your customer better, you can help them, and you can help them with their questions too. But typically, a lot of times it is price. That's the first thing that comes out. The other thing, they ask us about maintenance. We have them come back, or we ask them to come back within like a week or so. They have at least up to 30 days to bring their vehicle back and do an inspection wash on the coating. The great thing about doing the inspection wash, that's when we're able to go ahead and answer a lot of questions. Because at the very beginning of it, when they're asking about ceramic coatings or the services, right? You're giving them all this information about what to purchase and what would be a good fit for them. When they come back for the inspection wash, now you get to explain this is how you take care of everything. I believe it's also a great touch point too, having a customer come in and then also talking to them about maintenance washes if that's something that they're interested in. You know, how you can make their life a little bit easier or how they can get the most out of the coating at home and what maintenance products that they need.
Yep.
And so I think another really great place in there to fit this in is after you book a customer, right? So say we're booking a customer and they're getting a full PPF and ceramic coating. They have a $7,000 ticket or a $1,500 ticket. Like that's a significant amount of money either way.
Mhm.
When they book that, I think that giving them more information even after they've already booked. So they booked it. It's a week and a half or 10 days out. Why not still send them some information about what to expect when they come in for that job?
Yeah.
Start giving them that information to keep them excited. It's probably going to do.
That's actually a good point, because we have like in our CRM, if we start engaging more, that like it's not that it stops, but as many educational as if they hadn't kept engaging. That's a good food for thought to keep. That why not? I mean, that's literally what we say. Like, God damn it, light bulb. But
And I don't think it's a bad idea either. I think it's a great idea. What we do
yeah,
is we send out text reminders, and I'm sure your CRM probably does the same thing, Dustin. But they get text reminders of their upcoming appointment. It How much cooler would it be is, by the way, we know you're getting the OPX, this and this, blah, 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 to, what to expect, right?
yeah,
Or even just sending them a half and half shot of, this is what we've been able to do when you have a paint correction done. We remove 80-90% of your scratches. This is what we'll be doing with your vehicle. Can't wait to see you.
yep,
And take it one step further. What if that is coming to you in a little video on the text or a little video in the email where you got the owner of the company saying, "Hey, we're looking forward to taking care and thank you so much for your for using."
yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And that's we have so much work to do. It's not even fun. And then we come up with more like this. Like, let's add 10 more. Like, but the great part of small business though is it's like, even as much as you know it, you're gonna have some ego checks, and like, it's what's exciting is that we just keep learning and keep doing better. So
So for when you guys are putting stuff out there on social media, how are we doing about answering those questions? The theme right here is kind of answering all of the questions. So say we put stuff out on social media, this is maybe not preemptively doing it, but if you're not following up on all of those platforms and answering any questions that come in, you could potentially be dropping the ball too. What's your take on and how do you keep up with that side with everything else that y'all got going on?
I mean, I'll say that like a lot more of our conversations and stuff, especially not being a rep as much, that like my social media doesn't produce a ton of that conversation as much. But finger on the pulse of not like letting these unanswered questions online, especially if it's an educational video, not just like here's a shiny car and walked around and ended the video. But that is a big part of it, and other people see it. Even though my Instagram's not my fuel for the fire, people see when you posted last, if you comment back, like responding to reviews, that you have to stay on top of those things. Our CRM helps with some of those in like AI stuff, but like our social media, it's never been the big floodgate open for our business to feel overwhelmed right now for it. But you have to stay on top of it. Like that's your working profile, even if it's not my lead generator.
And so one other way that we build trust is through reviews. And I know this is one that we touch base on a lot, but it's so important that you're filling up those like your Google reviews and getting the reviews. What do you guys find that seems to work best for the detail shop environment to get people to give you the review? And knowing that if people get crappy service, they're so much more apt to leave a review super quick, and they might say, "Hey, I'm going to do it," but they walk out of that shop and then life happens to them and they forget it. But knowing how important it is for all of us, and I'll go either way. Damon, you could go first.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can actually have a QR code sitting right there at the checkout, so they can go ahead and leave you a Google review right away. The other thing is we personally ask. And we let them know if it was not a 5-star experience, let us know what does it take to make it a 5-star experience, or what was it that that wasn't done that didn't make it a 5-star service. And typically if there was an issue or a problem like that, I normally it's taken care of right there. And I think it's another touch point. But a But asking personally and making it easy for a customer to go ahead and leave a review, like having the QR code, everybody's time is important and they don't have enough of it. So if you can make it simpler for them to be able to leave a review real quick, just make it simple and make it personal.
Are these reviews only relevant to Google My Business area, or are there other places that seem to play a significant role in the reviews, whether those are maybe testimonials that you're putting on your website or using in other kinds of marketing?
Mine are mostly on Google. Like our Facebook's still 5 stars, our Yelp is, but we pour gas on Google out here. It works for us in California. Um, and there's an accumulative that we are higher because of other ones that we still focus on it, but we've just seen Google works for us. Um, that a lot of people is why, like we just had a guy yesterday and dropped off his car to him at a hotel. He ended up driving up from the border. He's like, I'm going to work with you. Your reviews, the response to the reviews, your knowledge to all, like he could have chose a lot of other shops in town. And that's a very big case here compared to some markets that, each detail shop is far apart. But it's huge to what Damon said is asking, we have, you're able go high level and other things that ask for these reviews. But man, when Dustin says, hey, I really appreciate you working with us. It's huge for us as small business owners to get positive reviews, and I'd really appreciate a 5 star. So I'm not technically asking for a 5 star. Just they're big for us. But we put it out there. We put a
Yeah.
review link that goes right to the 5 star section, not having to go through all these checks and balances to get there. But I've noticed 9 times out of 10, if I personally ask, that I get him a lot more than any of our CRMs that ask for us. Just that personal touch, and that's how we
Yeah.
get a lot.
Okay, so we're talking about all of these things are ways to build authority, and I have this idea, but I don't have a detail shop necessarily to push the button in, and I keep saying it to everybody, and somebody's gonna run with this, or maybe they're gonna say this is a bonkers, and here's why. So it came to me because of this. Dustin called me one day and he was a little bit salty that one of his employees had liked somebody else's social media post, and it was another detail company. So it really got me thinking, well, okay, you've got these young hip dudes who are working for you and they have opinions of what's cool. So maybe if having your employees also, and I could see where this could run away and just kind of spin out of control and be a mess, maybe. But what if your employees kind of use that same little formula because they every day have a car that they're working on in front of them to show a problem, a solution, authority, and they turned in at the end of their shift like a 30-second to 1 minute just little video clip that you could use therefore for your business, building your entire business as the authority. The one thing that seems like it could go sideways is if you have your employees messing around on their phone too much. But other than that, it seems like you would just have a really unique view of the guys who are really in the cars and seeing other social media stuff that they like, helping you create your social media.
I think that the
Mhm.
platform and like because it's like we're tunnel vision to what we should produce to what they may be seeing online. It's like the TikTok video that, and I'm never going to post the disaster details because I don't want to do them. But those ones replicate well. And so I've tried this with my guys, and with how much, oh my God, I'm surprised they don't hate me, but how many systems and check sheets and new things I've asked them to shift with that just pushing towards that envelope is a good idea. We're at the point that like all my guys will send me the walk around pictures I've done for me to post online, use for my marketing, because I'm not here to take all those pictures. So even getting to that point, it's baby steps. The idea is there. It's like if you posted that car on your Instagram, just tag me. But asking them to do like full cuts and full edits, like I don't have time for it, and I'm telling them to do flawless work. So a hybrid, I think, would be successful. The biggest thing is like if you're already posting the Ferrari that's on my mat in my shop, just please put the tag on it. But producing, like I don't even have time to produce. So I think a hybrid of that is a good way to look at it, to get it from their eyes, but not overstepping to distract.
Okay.
That's how I see it now that I'm not in the shit as much anymore.
Damon?
I think it's a fine balance. Um, I'm all about getting the employees in there as much as possible so people can see them, and it makes you more relatable as a
Yep.
business, especially on social media, because anybody can go to any detail page and see a car, right? But they're not going to see that exact same person. So
Yep.
with our guys, we have a solid team in the back, great bunch of guys. Can I tell you that they like to be on camera? They don't like to really be on camera. So when we have pictures, normally they're in the background. It took, for we got Best of Omaha, and so we had the guys say thank you. And those 10 to 15-second clips, and some of them weren't even 10 seconds, they freeze up because they're not used to speaking into a camera. They're used to speaking
Yep.
into the phone. They're just not used to speaking into the camera.
Yep.
And I go back to Dustin's
I haven't
comment
started
of time.
listening.
Yeah. So I go back to Dustin's comment uh, that it is about time too, and about making sure they're spending more time making sure the vehicle and their job is done correctly than taking the video. But I do agree with him that it does go quicker. I mean, you give the guys the expectations and the check sheets and everything else. And the pictures, when they start giving you pictures and stuff like that, it is very, very awesome. If you didn't have to go out there and take the same pictures and you're able to use it and load it right up on your social media, that's a win right there for you.
And I think they could take the check, the little checkbox dopamine dump, if you will, that you used their picture
Hmm.
that day
Yeah,
more
they feel more
than
a
the
part
other.
of the
And
Yeah.
team.
it's you
Yes.
and the other day I had man, who was it that called me? I can't even remember who called me, but he's like, "Hey, how long are you putting OPX on the car, like dwelling for?" And I was literally like on the phone. I was like, "Alan, how long?" I was like, "How long? I'm not installing it right now. You tell me what's going on for the weather, blah blah blah." And so you put that trust, you use that person's idea.
Mhm.
That it's why we put my two main guys on the training we had back here in January, and like the people around that were like shop owners, like, God damn, these guys are dialed. Like they were ready to go, like the horse race of the gate going down. And it's
Mhm.
taken a long time for that, but letting these guys have some trust and some praise that it's like, this isn't all Dustin. Like, I didn't code these cars, I didn't touch these cars. And it gives them some, without asking too much, because I've seen like you put them on camera and they're just like, oh God. Like, but they'll talk to my employee, like to my customers, like they'll talk to them and they'll talk about paint correction, and they can do it, maybe not to all the terms, but they know that if I keep pushing that envelope, I'm going to burn your fucking paint today. And so little wins without putting them too much in the spotlight and making them squirm, but the building them up too. It's like it's a good topic, but not
Mhm.
all as tangible in that light.
People feel like they're part of the team and that they're not just the number. They're going to give a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, I told one of my employees today, and like having the boss come to see me, he's like, "Oh man, like come with us. Like it'll be fun." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." But, like I'm not coming, but like for not being the boring boss that you would like to have there. So. But yeah, it's little wins. Like I enjoy those. We're the boss in here, and Damon and I talked about this. Like, man, sometimes it's nice to have a cheerleader. Where, like you're on this self journey on your own. That it's cool to have an employee or like Damon or yourself or someone being like, dude, keep going. Like it's nice to have that little cheerleader once in a while. So doing that for your guys that are in the shit, it means a lot for sure.
Mhm.
So building trust through transparency and becoming the authority in all of these different ways, not only for yourself but for your employees. All just builders.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I have one question, and I don't know why nobody really does this, and there's got to be a great reason. So you guys have a shop, and you pay rent on that shop. And if we take that, it means for every hour that shop is open, from say 9 to 5 or whatever your shop hours are, you are producing money. That is producing. For some of the ones that are busier, or maybe for the guys who might take on some of the dealer work, where they're going to have more stuff coming in, we don't see very many people running a 24-hour business where they could bring in another management team and have another shift or 2 or 3 shifts and have that the money that you're outpaying for the facility doesn't change. And it seems like it would just make your business so much more profitable. Why is nobody doing this?
My first thought is having that much work. Don't get me wrong. Like we look at last year's slow October to this year's, and it's like we were up probably like 10,000 in sales. So it's great, but more bodies more efficiency, guys getting better at their crafts. Like we clear the shop, like they're out of here. And it's like, who am I to say not to? So having that much workflow, but your marketing and those types of things, the problem to this or solution to the problem of like the customers, like I work nights, I can't drop it off during the day, but I sure pick it up at 7 a.m. ready. Like the theory's there and paying for it is there, but having that much workflow, you'd have to have it there. So then it would be the shop that I'm booked out 3 months, then dwindle it down to less than that. But right now, like we're even still doing a lot in sales. We're still piecing together every week that how am I supposed to be open that long or that many guys to feed? So we've talked about it. The theory's there. The idea's there. Like who am I to say that not even just 24 hours, but 7 days a week? That it doesn't have to be your guys working 7 days a week. But if you had mobile Saturday, Sunday, it's the reason we worked Saturdays for a long time. So the idea is there. You just got to build the, what are they, like if you build it, they will come.
And the only people that we really see doing that are like the big, like Carvana or like one of those big companies where they have just that massive machine of churn. Have you heard of anybody doing this statement with a shop like what we're doing?
Not necessarily going 24 hours. And I think about the businesses that do go 24 hours. And I think of like Waffle House. They're open 24 hours a day. My son-in-law actually runs a Waffle House, and he runs an entire store. So when he tells me about his problems and the phone calls that he gets at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't want them. I
Yeah.
don't want to give him to Davis
Yeah.
either. I
I
don't
think
want
about
to
the
do
calls and
that.
the texts that
Right. I mean, I can just
There's
honestly,
your
Dan,
answer.
just the idea, the headache of the whole thing. In concept, I think it's great. I really do. I think if you, like Dustin pointed out, you need to have the work, right? So if you got the work, now you got to find the employees. Once you get the employees, how much you're going to pay them and who's going to watch over them? Because you're going to have some type of night shift manager, somebody that you can trust to go ahead and keep that building from being burnt down while everybody's in there. I look at the liability part of it and the brain damage of people trying to call other people at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because somebody didn't show up for a shift or had to go home early because of something that took place.
Your
You
car
know,
locked itself, and I can't get hold of the customer to unlock it so I can finish the job. I see where your mind's at, though, but I think that
yeah.
the week could be different, and then you also got to take that in. So go back a little bit. I remember I was a 7:45 to 3:15 person at BMW, and they said, "Hey, Dustin, I'm going to need you to go on the closing shift and weekend shift." And I said, "What? Like, what? No, I'm Monday through Friday."
So
And the pay you'd have to do to offset it for that nighttime guy. That I like the concept.
It's a
I like
concept.
yeah, you would have to have I think that with the
All those
nighttime
pain
crew
points
also
come up with
though, you
solutions.
would have to
I
have enough
We'll
work
talk
for
again.
that.
I think for it to work, like because you guys are right, like it's hard to get that much business coming in for ceramic coatings.
You'd have
Maybe
to have a lot
not.
of
If you had that dealer work, that stuff where you're turning like those details on cars, so you could still keep business churning.
When we didn't ever, and I remember talking to both of you about it. It was the Tesla contract when the distribution center. That's something you could go all day, every day, and have the right crew. That everyone is a 32 hours, 40 hours work week. It's another topic, but that you'd have to have that kind of volume to do it, and that it's systematic enough of like PDI cars that you could just grunt work it through. But there's so many variables of this Hyundai. We had 2 Kia Tellurides today, and they're going to have completely different things, even though they're both brand new cars that are here. There's a lot of factors to it. To turn it on the other, what we've talked about before is the car storage unit that my customer, a high profile customer, drops off his dirty Ferrari. His other clean Ferrari is ready for him. Could you have a drop off and a pickup maybe scenario? The other one is our DIY customers. If we had a subsection that you could come and rent a wash bay, polisher, pressure washer, wash your own car, do your own car for a nominal fee, and then pay us to train you better at that, I think is a cool scenario to think outside the box for. But if you had subscription and car storage, man, I'll tell you what, Netflix get a pretty big bill or income every first of the month. That subscription could cover a lot of overhead to then make other play. Have a barber shop in your shop because people are wasting time. Like that's where. So anyway, that's my thought
I've
process.
seen a couple of those concepts where they have car storage in there and they have cars in bubbles. It looks like you're in a freaking museum. Like to go into there, and that's brilliant because people are paying just for the space. And
You have to have a big place, but yeah, if you could do both, and then I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole for this one, but it's a pretty cool concept. But so many customers we're teaching how to detail cars, and they're trying to like think about going out in the elements of these things, and it's like right here, like you could just come in and be ready to go, and you rented space for the month, and then you sell them the chemicals on the shelf to then use on their own car. That seems more intriguing than 24 hours a day.
yeah, I like all of it. Okay, let's run through here real quick. We're kind of at our time, but we got people on here that said hi to us. So 907 Adventures Car Detailing in Fairbanks, Alaska. I have been there. Says good afternoon from 907. What's the best way to draw in new clients? That's a whole.
Google My Business is the best free way to do it every single day. Vomit all over Google My Business, and then once you've done that, we'll chat some more.
Yep, and literally everything that we just talked about in this hour. Johnny Davis, without a doubt, Dustin's continued growth and success have been awesome to see. Seeing him transition into his shop's business model has been amazing. It really, really has. It's probably more so for me than anybody because I'm attached. Jimmy, we got Jimmy on here. He's on YouTube checking us out. The Eastern rep, Mr. Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy.
Pay attention, lots of knowledge between these three gentlemen. Thank you, sir. Caesar up in Illinois, who's ready to jump back onto Train OP. I'm super excited to have you back,
Just
man.
come to San Diego, Caesar.
Let's do it.
Just come to San Diego.
Let's do it. 907 again says, how would you go about a detail shop right next to two other detail shops? Ooh, you're the only one selling Owner's Pride ceramic coating.
I've literally right there and right there. Literally both cross streets I have detail shops. We're still busy.
Yeah. Wow, they're in
San
Fairbanks,
Diego's
Alaska.
but
It's a little small.
But why is your customer service better? Why are your reviews better? Why is your knowledge better? All of these things that the other shop, they're like, oh, I'm going to code it and I'm going to slap that shit on there and make it glossy. Like, be the authority, be the power knowledge. You'll snap.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Be the authority.
Love it. Love it.
Be the authority. You don't have to run anybody down. Just be the authority, and that's enough.
Around. That's crazy. They're right there. But just hit them with customer service, knowledge, authority. You'll weed them out.
Yeah.
All right. How do you do social media when you're a one-person shop? Great question, and I will tell you, some of the guys that I do work with, they run into this problem. They get up, they go detail all day long. They come home, they're dog tired. Then they got to do their social media stuff. The best thing that seems to have worked for everybody that we've run into this problem with is we just kind of change around their time. Take that first hour of the day before you go to the shop and make that your time to do that. I kind of set my own work day up like in a similar fashion. Like I'm going to go through my new leads that have come in, the very first thing that I do, and I knock that out. But then you're checking off a couple things. You get those social media posts made early in the day. You've accomplished something, and you set yourself off for a good, positive day.
And when you do that in the morning, post on Google My Business.
Hit them all. Hit them all. We got Bill Baker says, what do you guys think of Australian detailing? Is it similar to what you guys do?
It's all right.
I think when we flush the toilet, the water goes different, and you guys have a couple different names for cars, but it's just about the same.
Go find Maddie Chatterson. We'd be best friends.
He said, thumbs up if you see this comment. Mr. Bill Baker. Yeah, I think it's about the same. I think it's about the same. Cars is cars.
Yeah.
I learned something new the other day. I heard that Australia is actually the size of the U.S. and I'm like, you think it's like this little thing down there. It's actually literally like the size of the U.S.
Good day. Right. We got Michael Babsky, our military and detailer guy. He says, what's up, gentlemen? One thing has worked for me is I have a class for my customers and a coding after they get a coding to answer the questions. So he basically shows them and brings them in, and that is excellent. You guys in Omaha have Bob, and nobody's going to escape leaving with a wash kit when Bob talks to him.
Not bombs there.
Jimmy says, I want that OP sticker, Dustin, which is this one right here.
I have a stack. Give me your address. I'll send you some.
All right, and then just a couple more of them here. Anchorage, Alaska, 907. I'm sorry. I was talking about the wrong one.
I thought you said that was their comment. I was like,
No,
Yeah.
that's me just, pretending I know what's going on.
Yeah.
And obviously not. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us for this hour. We'll be here every Thursday. Trying to drop a little bit of knowledge for you guys for business, answering questions, and get out there in detail.
and talking.
And talking.
And talking.
All right. Until next time, stay glossy.